Okay everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we're going to have a look at the atomic pump from HOAMC, H-O-A-M-C, I thought, or HOAMC, I don't know, from these guys. Full transparency, of course, this was sent out to me for free for the purpose of review. When these guys reached out to me and said, hey look, would you be interested in one of these? It was enough to give me pause, and I thought, you know what, I'll go and have a look at a couple of videos and just check them out and see what they're good for. Now, the main thing that had me interested in this, whilst it's going to be handy, and you can see I've thrown out a bunch of mats that I've got sitting in the shed. I use these things for all sorts of stuff, you know, camping in the back of the Pajero, in the caravan, all sorts of stuff. So I've got a number of these different mats. What really interested me is when I saw somebody using one of these to blow oxygen onto the fire and then get the fire started. Got a mate, Steve from Mud Ducks Touring, you know, link down in the description if you're going to check out his channel. But he uses like a 18 volt blower that he's got that he takes and uses for lighting fires. Now there has been specifically one occasion where we went away, where all the timber was wet. We were at a national park, so there was heaps of other campers around us. We were the only ones, because of that blower, to have a successful fire and get that going to be able to stay out for the night, where everybody else went to bed early. We were the only guys sitting up around a fire, and it ended up being a ripper. Obviously, you know, the challenge is getting the fire started in the first place. And to sustain it through that initial stage, to get it to, you know, decent coals that it was going to sustain itself, and then the fire just took off. So we were, in the end, everybody went to bed because nobody had fires. We were the only ones sitting up around our fire. So I was really interested to see how well this worked in that capacity. Now it's really, really tiny. You'll see here, I went down to a mate's place just last week. Now typically when we have a bonfire down there, this was a very, very small bonfire, I wouldn't even call it that. He just throws timber out and just rubbish from around the property there. And then when we get together and we have a shindig or whatever, a few drinks, then we'll light that up and away we go. Now consequently, that sits out in all sorts of weather, so it soaks up a lot of water, and we often have a bit of a challenge getting that started, which always leads to Tim bringing out the petrol, not, you know, filling the thing with petrol and then drawing a nice big line, light it up, boom, and away the thing goes. Luckily there was some dry stuff, which was leaves and small tinder type material, and I was able to actually get that fire going using this on its own. No other accelerants, no fuel, no nothing, and we managed to get the bonfire going with this. Now that in itself was pretty impressive for me. I think you can see. Oh, jeez. Okay, all right. That happened. That happened a lot quicker than I expected. I think you can see how that surprised me, how quickly that actually got that going. It is literally just the concept of getting more air into a fire. For now, this is this thing's primary job. It's to light fires for me. And for shits and giggles, Mumpy's going to try and figure out how to use it.
I think you've turned the light on 8 times now.
He's figured out how to turn on the light. Here we go. It's noisy as hell, I'll tell you that now. It sounds like a little jet taken off, and I don't mind that personally. But she's a fan favourite around the campfire. Good?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, mate. That's about as excited as Gen Z get with shit. Now I've got to say, it's getting hard not to grab this thing every time I'm trying to light a fire. Like this has been going, I've got a nice bed of coals. I've thrown some actual briquettes, charcoals in there just to help get the, you know, the base of the fire going. And because I'm not in a hurry, but it's just so much fun to use this. Again, it just makes things so much easier. It gives that fire a little kick along. Certainly uses up a lot of your coals that you got down at the bottom. So you want to make sure you've got a good base, but And just watch out, because once that fire gets going, sometimes it comes back towards you.
You know what'd be good?
What'd be good, Tim?
Aerosol can into the pickup of it, and then like flame blower it.
We'll see if it works.
How do you turn it on?
Double press.
No, you can find
On
that
top.
out actually. Oh, I think I might f*** it in
Oh
here.
yeah, maybe. That's better. Oh yeah. So as far as functionality goes, they refer to this as a 2-in-1. So it is a little LED light as well as the blower. So if you press and hold the button on top, you'll get the little LED light ring, little light on top. Once you've got the LED light lit, it's then just a case of just popping that button to change the brightness, and then the final press is just going to switch it off. The switch on the blower, which I did originally think there was 2 speeds to this blower, but there's not. There's only the single speed, but it's activated by a double press. And then just again a single press to turn it off. I haven't actually used this on any of the inflatable mattresses yet, so that's why I've gone and pulled all these ones out. I've got 4 types here, but a lot of them have very similar valves on them, but I wanted to try and use it on as many different valves as possible. While we're here, included in the kit, nice little bag to throw it in. There is, which I don't have now, little USB-C to USB-C cable for charging, and it is USB-C charged. You get a number of different adapters in here as well. I think it's 4 in total. Okay, maybe 5 in total. Maybe 6 in total. There should, in theory, be an adapter for pretty much anything you're going to need. And now they don't have an adapter that you could work with here, but I'd be interested to see whether we could blow up a soccer ball, with this. Let's see. Again, I'm just going to press this down over there. No, I don't think we get any air in that at all, which is a real shame, because as far as your sports kit or something like that, if they could get you a valve or an adapter that would work to inflate soccer balls and things like that, that would be absolutely brilliant. The other functionality that you get with this is the impeller on the bottom, this is the input here, this is the output on the top. Now this can also be used for your vacuum bags and stuff as well. I have a 3D printer inside, and some of those filaments need to be stored in sort of airproof bags or vacuum bags, just using a manual pump to date. And because we want to suck rather than blow, what we're going to do is put this adapter onto the bottom of the unit. So this is the intake, this is the output, and then literally we're just going to press this over the top of that valve. I think you can see the amount of air that has taken out, and that will work. And then we're just going to try and blow up a couple of these mattresses. So obviously that one worked pretty well. I've got a number of other mattresses here, and the majority of these I've had a look are all sort of a variation of that type of inflation valve, much to my disappointment, because that's a valve that I'm not a big fan of, which is basically just one of these screw type valves here. Again, the other ones that we see here, 3 out of the 4 that I've pulled out, are just variations of this valve, where you've got that screw cap, you open it up, and then you actually inflate it through that cap. I like to do real world testing and honest outcomes, and that is an honest outcome for that. So again, this is a variation of that other valve that we're seeing on the red one, albeit that it is pretty large. You can hear the amount of air that's going in this. Again, self-inflating mattresses isn't really anything that's gonna, it's a shit valve basically, but there is nothing here that is gonna fit over that. So I think I'm just gonna say this for me with the mattresses that I've got. Obviously it worked on this first one, but it's not wanting to work on any of the other ones. This is just another inflatable pillow, at $3 from Kmart. I grab a handful of these because I use them in the machinery when I'm operating at work. I want to pull up for a snooze or something like that, I normally throw one of these out. This chill pill from Zempire is my absolute favourite, and it has copped the flogging and it still keeps on rocking. So I wanted to grab these because these have some different valves again to what I had on the mattresses. This is got the valve on it that you would expect to see on most of your kids' toys, your kids' inflatables. your standard, I guess, cheaper inflatable mattresses. Again, something you might get from Kmart or something like that. They look very similar to this sort of material, and they're going to have that sort of valve on it. But in the interest of giving it a fair crack, let's see here. So that's a definite yes, no problems there. And now this part isn't about, is this thing capable of inflating these as far as a volume perspective goes. It is literally just, have I got a connection that I can make with these, with these adapters to actually get the thing inflated at any rate. As you all know, these have got like that little one-way valve that you sort of squeeze to let the air out. Now I can't really get this in past there, can I? Yeah, I can. So I can press that all the way in. I think this is going to work. With that one, because I was pressing that in past the safety valve, like the valve that allows the one way, you've got to get it out pretty quick. Again, something like that only takes a handful of breaths to get that right. I don't, to be honest, think any of those other ones would be more suitable, and frankly I don't think this one was the perfect fit for that either. It would work, and if I was inflating one of the kids' toys, I would be able to do the bulk of it with something like this, and then just top it up when you can just stick that valve back on with your breath. So I would say, look, they're successes on some level. Now let's wrap it up. This is not going to work for me as far as the mattress inflation thing goes. It's average as far as the vacuum aspect of it goes. Not something I'm going to use all the time, but it'll still get used in that fashion every now and then, especially if I lose that other hand pump. But this is going to be used for me lighting fires all the time. Super lightweight, USB-C rechargeable, has a light on it if need be. So if you're hiking or something along those lines and you're counting your grams, then this is a nice little addition. That being said though, if you're counting your grams, you're probably going to suck it up and just blow your mattress up. You're probably not going to want to spend an extra 61 grams on something like this. If you're not that gram counter, then this 61 grams is probably not going to mean too much to you. It's nice and light. Obviously, you've got the light on it, which you can hang up in the top of your tent. But often what I find with things like this, where they do multiple duties and they always throw a little light on it, typically the device means more to me in its primary use case, like this one as a vacuum or a blower. It means more to me in that sense than having the light. So I'd never use that light because I wouldn't want to wear down the battery, because I want to use it for inflating things or lighting fires. So that's just me. So that's it. That is the little atomic punk from HOAMC, I don't know, whatever. Didn't really blow my socks off as far as inflating mattresses, but as far as lighting fires goes, it's a little bloody ripper. So that's it. Thanks very much for stopping by. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.